Hey, you guys, you are here live with Alex and Andy coming to you from Shanghai, China, which is currently under a bit of a staggered lockdown because of the rising numbers of COVID in the city. Right now, the city is on day number 17 of citywide lockdown, and we're just getting through it, coming to you guys daily with all the latest updates and what have you. Alex, how was your day today?
Not bad. It's just like the other days. They're kind of running together as of now. Not a whole lot of difference day to day. Just get a little bit of work done, get a little bit of cleaning done, get a little cooking done, and that's about it. You?
Oh, nice. Oh, actually, I did have a bit of a busy day today. I took part in two other YouTubers' videos discussing the situation here in Shanghai. So that was awesome. Got that out of the way. If you're watching now from Reports on China YouTube channel, you may recognize these YouTubers. One of them is Jerry Good. His video should be live this evening, I think. And the other one is Lee Barrett, Lee Barrett and his son. I think that video is going to be coming up later in the week, so keep an eye out for that. Speaking of which, we have comments coming in online already. Noel, another YouTuber, I think from Singapore, says 25 million. That's 5 times the size of Singapore's population. It is a huge population here in Shanghai, without a doubt. And that's why the numbers, even though they seem quite high, in comparison, especially compared to places around the world, aren't actually that high by ratio. But I will read the numbers for today. Actually, they're yesterday's numbers. We had 3,238 new symptomatic cases, 21,582 new asymptomatic cases. So around about 25,000 in total, and a bit of bad news that the number is slightly higher than yesterday. What did you take of these numbers, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers have been pretty much the same for the last, 5 or 6 days or so. We're seeing just a tick. We're seeing between 20 and 25,000 when you combine the quote unquote confirmed cases, which is referring to symptomatic cases. And then as well as the local asymptomatic infections, which are locally spread positive cases. So again, to reiterate, when they say the local asymptomatic infections, that means it discounts the people that, for example, are in quarantine out by Pudong Airport or so because they flew in internationally or something like that. That's outside of that. What it is people who tested positive and are asymptomatic. So yeah, we've been at around 25,000 per day throughout for the majority of this past week. Maybe a slight dip here, a slight rise there, but it doesn't really seem to be that the trend is changing. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, but we're seeing a continuous stream of about 25,000 per day, which is putting a strain on the capacity in the city to house these symptomatic and asymptomatic positive patients. But the city is obviously repurposing different facilities to try and accommodate those people. So we hope that it goes down, but as of yet, it's stayed pretty steady for the last few days.
Exactly, yeah. We did see some falls on a couple of days. And like I said at the time, it's too early to decide whether this is a trend, an ongoing trend. And as it turns out, it's probably not at this stage. Like Alex said, the numbers have you can see here on the screen, on the graph, the numbers are kind of bobbed up and down over the last few days. Obviously, the 2 days prior, before today, were quite low, relatively speaking. And today it's, like Alex said, shot up a little bit again. So yeah, obviously we're still in the thick of it. Here are some numbers for Shanghai's 16 different districts. Mine is Jing'an district, so 143 confirmed symptomatic and 991 asymptomatic. Not too bad. Alex, how's your Putuo going?
Yep, just looks like just about the same. Obviously, Jing'an and Putuo are two of the smaller districts in terms of area in the city. They are two of the centrally located city center districts, whereas some of these districts, if you look here at the map, that downtown area right there on the left is blown up on the right. And so you see the 7 districts that are considered to be downtown: Yangpu, Hongkou, Jing'an, Putuo, Changning, Xuhui, and Huangpu. Those are much smaller in area, obviously, as you can see, than the other ones. And so, their numbers are higher than some of those rural districts, which is showing us that it's still a bit of a dangerous situation in terms of COVID being out and about amongst the population in these centrally located areas.
Yeah, and I think, like I was just about to say, the numbers seem pretty low for Jing'an and Putuo, but like Alex said, the numbers represent smaller areas, smaller populations. So I haven't done the math, but I would imagine it's probably pretty similar. So yeah, welcome again, you guys, to today's live broadcast. Whether you're watching on Shanghai Daily's WeChat video account, Shanghai Daily's Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, or the Reports on China YouTube page. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get your comments coming in, and we'll bring some of them up on the screen. We have a question here, pretty serious one. Sylvain asks, videos in the city of Shanghai, people screaming in desperation, if not starvation, true or false? We did address this. We have been addressing it probably every day. We know that video of the screaming out has gone viral. Obviously, like we mentioned a few days ago, people are frustrated. 25.6 million people locked down. The whole city locked down just by today already, at least 3 weeks. A lot of people even longer. So, in my opinion, those screams are people, just venting their frustrations at the situation, having a good chance to let it all out. We've seen other displays in different Shaochu or different communities, including drumming, music, loud music, laughing, singing, KTV. These are just all different ways people are venting their frustrations. So that is not something that I would say is symbolic of the city breaking down, going to chaos, people going crazy. I think it's just human nature, people letting out their frustrations. Alex, what do you think?
I agree. I don't know that desperation and starvation are the correct words. I think it's sort of frustration and a bit of just sort of exasperation, perhaps, maybe worry. I don't think that people. I know that there were some issues with food supplies and supply chains earlier on during the lockdown. I think most of those issues have been smoothed out, and we're seeing less and less in terms of that sort of thing. Again, I've heard here and there in my neighborhood, when I also live in the city center area, so a very densely populated area with lots of tall buildings and high rises. And I do every now and then hear someone shouting out their window, but they aren't usually, I don't hear them shouting any particular words or anything like that. They're just, I think, just sort of desperate for human contact, or kind of just, because a lot of people, and I mentioned this before, a lot of people have a lot of different things to worry about. I consider myself among the more fortunate because I still have the opportunity to do my job. Right. I don't have any children. I am, you know what I'm saying? I'm in relatively good health by and large. I don't have any special medical needs, medicine, or anything like that. And so I know there are a lot of people that are in a lot tougher situations than I'm in around the city right now. And, a lot of those worries building up one on top of the other, not sure when you can go back to work. Maybe, maybe you have enough food now, but you're not sure where the next batch will come from, be it from the government, be it from your homeowners association or whatever. I can understand people being frustrated, but I can say that that's not what's happening all over the city. It's not like the city is a cacophony of screams and cries all day and all night long. So I did see the video. I mean, I assume that video is accurate and that it's a real video. It seems like it is. And I feel for those people, and they seem to be really frustrated, but it isn't something that's happening all over the city all the time.
No, exactly. And, right now I have, like Alex said before, we're both in the city center. When I do this live stream, I have because the weather is heating up, so I have my window open next to me. Right. And obviously you can't hear screams coming in. But during the day in my area, we do have some elder residents singing KTV. A lot of the time people will hang out their windows and applause at the end of songs, some old Chinese classics. You'll hear the neighbors hanging out. Ooh, yeah. It's just people's way of letting out their energy. We're pent up inside. So yeah, I wouldn't obviously, like Alex said, that video is real, but it's definitely not a sign of people in Shanghai going collectively crazy at all. We have another interesting question here, or comment rather, from Tersha EO11, who says the World Health Organization considers lockdowns counterproductive. That could very well be the case. Obviously, China is one of probably the only country left in the world who are still doing lockdowns, although I'm not sure of that. Alex, have you heard of any other countries that are still locking down over COVID?
I know that there are certain areas in some countries, maybe a city here or a province or town there that are still doing stuff like this, but no, not obviously on this scale or anything like that. Obviously, China is taking a different approach. As 2022 has rolled around, a lot of countries have at some point between 2020 and now have sort of changed their approach, whereas China is sticking to what they have been sticking to for a while now. So that's just what it is right now. Agree or disagree with it, that's just the case. Anyway, as far as whether lockdowns are counterproductive or not, I think I didn't hear any. It could be true. I'd like to see the evidence that the World Health Organization said that. I know back during 2020 and 2021, that's certainly not the tune that was being sung in countries. And so I really don't know if that's factual information that the WHO has said that. If I am wrong, I stand corrected, but I'm pretty sure that's not what the WHO has said. Because when other countries around the world were doing lockdowns, they were saying that the WHO said it was a good idea because most people were fighting back against it. So again, that doesn't pass the smell test to me, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It doesn't sound right to me, although COVID, like you said, has changed since 2020. So maybe they've changed their start.
I haven't seen they can be unproductive. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
I think that's kind of a blanket statement that I don't really know if that's true or not. But
right. Another comment here from Joe Alberto, who says, I'm almost out of food. Joe, obviously, if you're in Shanghai, that's not good to hear. You can contact your Jiweihui or your neighbors. Obviously, it's difficult still at the moment to order, luxuries like coffee, chocolate, and things like that. But I'm sure people will be more than willing to help you out in your committee. One of the great things about living in Shanghai is where, it's either a great thing or a bad thing, depending how you look at it. But we're all quite crammed together. So obviously, every xiaoqu has different WeChat groups you can ask for help. In fact, yesterday, I had some excess food that they donated us some ducks a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know how to prepare it. So I donated that to my Jiweihui, who then passed it on to some elderly people who can't use their cell phones to order food online. So there's all these different mechanisms in place, Joel, and I hope you figure it out soon. Monsanto says, greetings, gentlemen, greetings and welcome. So yeah, we better move on. We've got a lot of things to get through this evening. We want to talk about a new update with Shanghai's factories. Now, we've been saying during this lockdown that Shanghai is one of the economic centers of not just China, but the world. But a lot of people don't realize or may realize that Shanghai also has a lot of factories and there's a lot of output that needs to be organized. So we have some news. And Alex, I'm going to get you to talk about this because the article seems a bit, it's not an article on Shine, it's more a list of the regulation. So what did you find out?
Oh, well, it's honestly, it's pretty vague. They're basically talking about the different steps or the different conditions that need to be met and the steps in order to get there to send people back to work. Obviously, this really only covers, as far as I understand, it only covers certain industries, manufacturing being the most important one. Of course, Shanghai's factories are not located in the downtown areas. They're located in the outskirts. And most of those areas have been the least hard hit by COVID-19 during this particular wave over the last month and a half, which makes sense. Obviously, they're not as densely populated as the downtown areas. But it's, I don't want to get into it too deep in the weeds in terms of analyzing it because some of the regulations are vague, but it's just talking about different pandemic prevention management efforts to how they're going to manage the dormitories of a lot of the factories. Obviously have dormitories nearby for the workers to stay in and stuff like that. And it's just really logistics management, emergency procedures, yada, yada, yada. So really, again, it's so long story short, I'll kind of get to the point of it. It's just talking about different measures that need to be implemented and different standards and conditions that must be met in order to send factory workers back to work to get their places of employment up and running again, and to put an end to this hiatus in manufacturing. Obviously, the city is taking a hit from it. I think it's obvious. If you shut down industries around the city, it's going to be an economic hit. And so they're trying to sort of mitigate that the best they can. And this is about what needs to be done for that to happen.
Right. And as I said before, the piece on shine.cn, which is our website for Shanghai Daily, it is not really an article or, a summary of the new guidelines. It's more a list of the guidelines themselves. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, do head across to shine.cn and check it out for yourself. Some more comments. Somebody has a funny one here. Alex, you can answer this one. Why do you Westerners use the same name? Too many people with the name Alex. That defeats the purpose of having a name to differentiate people. It's a culture shock to me. What do you reckon, Alex? Have you met many others with your name?
Of course, there's lots. Well, Alex is a name that obviously also is like many other common names. It gets translated into different countries. So you've got into different languages. Excuse me. So you've got, the name Alex can be in English, Spanish, French, Russian, lots of other languages. Anyway, yeah. So that's the first name. That's the reason why we have middle names, right? And we also have family. Obviously, if you're in China, you know that they call it Lao Bai Xing. Right? Lao Bai Xing refers to the general populace and the public at large, but Lao Bai Xing literally means the 100 surnames. And the implication there is that there are only 100 surnames for all the people in China. And while that's not really true, it kind of almost is. And so
kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And so it's kind of the opposite. Whereas if you go to a country, like, for example, I'm from the USA, if you go to that country, there's millions of different surnames. And so, yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but no, we have middle names and then family names as well. I don't know that there's any other person on the entire planet with the same first, middle, and last name as me. In fact, I'm certain there's not. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say my middle name on the show tonight because I'm not happy with it. Thanks for the question, Montana. Tommy Putra asked, how about pet food? Can you buy pet food during lockdown? Now, actually, for me, I made sure to stock up when we were notified of the lockdown.
But yes,
luckily, here in Puxi, luckily in Puxi, we were warned, so we had a bit of time to stock up. But you can also order pet food online. Some people are still shipping it out. And as more and more e-commerce factories are ramping together, it'll be easier to do so. That is something you can order, obviously, which is obviously really good since a lot of people in Shanghai have pets. Like Alex said on another show, this is definitely a pet-loving city, pet-loving country, pets everywhere. So that's one of the important things that people are, getting sorted out.
Yeah. So there are some services, so you can still get some things delivered. There are a number of stores that have remained open throughout the lockdown. Now they've obviously been hard pressed to sort of restock their supplies. And now that some areas are partially open, there are some parts of the city, even in downtown areas, where people are now allowed to go outside, although they're only allowed to roam within a small perimeter surrounding their apartment in their jiedao, which I would guess we'd call it just a few city blocks in area. Anyway. And so I was able to get a bag of cat food. I think it was a 12-pound bag of cat food. This was before anyone was open. But there are some drivers and some shansong or flash delivery drivers that can send things around. Now, because of the scarcity and the high demand for the cat food, I had to pay about 2.5 times what I normally pay for it, which I obviously wasn't thrilled about. But that's better. Sometimes I just had to bite the bullet. I had no other way to do it. But again, now I am happy to report that I did get 3 deliveries from Jingdong today. I can confirm I did. And so I can confirm that you can get things from Jingdong. One thing I did learn is that if you are buying from Jingdong, and listen up if you actually want to buy something from Jingdong, is when you order it, it has to be, you'll see a label that says Jingdong Ziying Dian, which means it's a Jingdong owned and operated store. It's not a third party listed on Jingdong's website. Okay. And the reason why that's important is because those goods are housed in warehouses that are in the city limits of Shanghai and then can be delivered from other parts of Shanghai to your house. If it's located outside of Shanghai, like I ordered something, we ordered a huge bag of cat food right before this lockdown started, or right as it was starting, but it was located in Jiangsu somewhere. And so it got stopped at Kunshan, border of Shanghai. And so it's been sitting there for 3 weeks. It's a huge 50-pound bag of cat food that would have lasted us for months and months, but can't get our hands on it. And so if you are ordering something from Jingdong and you expect it to arrive during lockdown, make sure that it's Jingdong Ziying Dian, or the Jingdong self-operated store. If you can read Chinese, that'll be much easier to sort of to get through. Maybe
I'm going to have to go through my orders that I'm still waiting on and see which ones are from Jingdong operated stores. Obviously, none of them are because I haven't received anything. But anyway, Alex, I'm going to play a video actually in relation to the last story we talked about, which was the resuming work. So we'll check a short video out by one of our reporters today, and then we'll be right back.
我们公司得到松江区政府大力的支持下，那在4月15号申请复工复产，然后严格要求防疫的措施进行复工复产。那预计 F1 的工厂有500人，然后 F3 的工厂有1500人进行复工复产的工作。
Lovely music there, really dramatic.
Very dramatic.
I think that video, that music, sorry, is always all over Douyin with those kind of nationalistic kind of videos. So yeah, cool music. Yeah, good to see. We do have another video real quickly that our boss just sent in. It is also relating to work resumption, so I'll chuck that on now.
Okay.
Loading. Okay, as it's loading, you guys keep the comments coming in, and I'll bring some up as we go along. Here we go.
All right, let's check this.
我是中国银联信息总中心驻守一线值班人员，主要负责银联跨行交易监控，每日完成与成员机构清算文件对账等工作。目前，在一线驻守的10多名员工分为2组，在保证互相不接触的情况下轮流值守，保障银联生产系统稳定运行，为成员机构和持卡人提供服务。截至目前，银联生产网络运行情况良好。
There goes that music again, really whipping up the emotions. Yeah, basically, what we're seeing is some banks are offering support loans and stuff for small and medium-sized businesses, which is good to see since a lot of people are in trouble, I would imagine, during these lockdowns, obviously. Again, I've said it a million times, we're in week 3 of the citywide lockdown. So obviously that's going to impact small and medium-sized businesses. Like Alex said before, we are kind of the lucky ones. We're stuck at home, but we can continue working. Obviously do this live broadcast every night and hopefully still get paid, fingers crossed. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. So it's good to see that systems are being put into place.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you see that there are a lot of essential jobs, but you know, the thing that, and I'm sure nobody needs to be reminded of this, but you know, it's really hard to get by through the lockdown. There are a lot of different services. It isn't just banks and factories. I mean, there are a lot of different services that people really need and that are really unavailable because everyone's locked in their houses right now. And so it is good to see, it is good to see that that some of these people are allowed to go back to work, you know, for obviously first and foremost, in my opinion, their sake, the workers' sake. I mean, we want people to be able to earn their wages and salaries. You know what I'm saying? That to me is the most important part. And then secondarily, I would say, you know, getting these industries back up and running, getting these factories going, making sure that everyone has their has these services available. I did see in the bank I saw a mat or a makeshift bed and a pillow. It makes me wonder if the people are sleeping in their places of work. I would imagine that they very likely are, because right now the policy is, I think they're calling it 禁不 or 只出不进 or something like that, which means that you can only go out of a complex. Once you go out, you can't come back in. It doesn't matter what you went out for unless you have a special pass. And so I don't know if these people are giving our special passes. I don't really, I have a hard time believing that they're all allowed to roam freely in and out of their compounds. Maybe some of them live near their work and they're in the green area. I'm not really sure, but if they are sleeping in their office, but then 辛苦 to them, which means, you know, it's rough. We thank them for their help, I guess.
Yeah, we have Shanghai Daily staff, obviously, who have been living in the office there, producing the Shanghai Daily newspaper every day. Thanks to them. We're looking at footage now of some nucleic acid testing done today. I did a test as well today and also yesterday. So yeah, that's still going ahead as normal. We have another message from Joe Alberto who said, "I'm assuming that Pinduoduo and Taobao are no longer delivering." I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I think they aren't. I don't assume that. I would check. Checking is always better than assuming. So don't make it a habit to assume things, especially right now when things are changing and things are obviously not what they normally are. I think you are correct about that, though, although I would check. But I know that Jingdong is delivering from their Zidian. So if you want to check that out, that might help you. And if you're running out of food, definitely speak to your Juwei, your neighborhood committee. And yeah, definitely bring that up. Don't go hungry in your own house in the middle of one of the wealthiest and most prosperous cities in the world. That is really kind of an absurdity. So make sure that doesn't happen.
Exactly, not a good idea. But in terms of whether or not they're delivering or not, you could also try to contact somebody, especially on Taobao. When you're going to buy something, you can contact the seller and they'll be able to tell you. But I really would, from my guess, I would guess Taobao is not delivering probably right now. Some of these places with factories or warehouses, set up in Shanghai are well placed to be able to do that. But Taobao is actually made up of mostly all small buyers, including large ones as well, but they're located all over the place. So I would guess no to that question.
Yeah, Jingdong is a better option right now. Again, Jingdong's deliveries weren't available up until recently, but again, the people were able to successfully place orders beginning a few days ago. And as I said earlier in the show, I can report that I did receive 3 Jingdong packages today that I ordered at some point last week. And so it's not just hearsay, at least for me at this point, because I did get some stuff that I ordered from things that were warehoused locally here in the city. So you can get some stuff like that. But again, make sure to talk to your neighborhood committee because they should be sending out food from time to time as well.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be able to help out. I wouldn't worry in that regard. But obviously, if you run out of food, you haven't figured out a way yet. I think the best way is speak to the volunteers in your community, speak to the Juwei, like we said. If that doesn't work, you can call 12345. 12345. They are really busy at the moment, but if you keep trying, you should be able to get through. Obviously, no one needs to starve, but I did see this story online, kind of an awkward segue, but it's all about the things you can grow, the food you can grow in your own kitchen in Shanghai in the sunlight. Now, a lot of people have been using the heads of old vegetables that they would normally throw away to grow things like chives and things like that. Have you seen that trend online, Alex?
I have. I've seen that. I don't know what the hashtag is, but I have seen it. Yes, I have not actually tried it myself, but I have seen it. I assume it works. It seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah, I've seen lots of pictures.
Yeah. So, what this article says is true. It is, and I've had some friends in Shanghai who've gotten pretty big into gardening, and so I've seen some sort of some setups similar to this. I mean, I don't think that given the timing and how long it takes to grow things like tomatoes, that's really a good short-term solution for a short-term problem. I think it's a cool story, and it certainly is true if you want to pick up a new habit of gardening. Although I'm just not sure it's going to solve anyone's food security issues, but it is cool. So yeah, if you want to take up gardening, it's like we were saying earlier, it's a good of a time as any to pick up a new hobby. Gardening is one that is really relaxing for a lot of people, and so hey, I think I think from that standpoint, it's great.
Yeah, all the power to you. It sounds fun. People have been doing it more, I think, for kind of some online competition, seeing how well they go. Yeah. It became a bit of a trend online. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in and you've got time now, look into doing that. Now, I'll just quickly go over the numbers again for today. Yesterday's official numbers in Shanghai, we had 3,238 new symptomatic cases, 21,582 asymptomatic cases, looking at around about 25,000 for yesterday. That is slightly up on the day before. So obviously we're not seeing any significant downward trend at the moment, but we will keep coming to you. Actually, I saw a question before. Someone asked us, will we continue doing the daily live stream even after the lockdown? I'm not sure about that, but you can ask our boss. Let's see if we can get a pay rise or something, and we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm going to pull up one of our performers from our concert online a couple of weeks ago. This guy is quite a renowned pianist here in Shanghai. So we'll have a look at his performance and be back very shortly.
All right, see you soon.
演奏的是佛罗多斯改编的这个莫扎特土耳其进行曲。
太棒了 I enjoy
Really cool.
how emotive he is and how animated he is when he's playing. It's cool.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I love how his hair just flies all around everywhere. Like he's really so into it. It looks like a real release, I guess. So I think if I were a piano player, it would probably be something at the moment, if you're home and stressed out, a way to get rid of some energy. So yeah, awesome performance there. We do have another video to bring up, which is all about, let me see, volunteers in a community toiling. Nice use choice of words there. Let's watch some volunteers in a community toiling.
就是我们不能赔，一赔中间就积压了。
但是量都挺大的。
您好，我给你们送一点鸡蛋过来，放在门口了。我们又是蔬菜，又是蛋，所以非常的紧张。所以我们把今天基本上团里的人都召集过来了。再次感谢大家，辛苦了。
有16户，但是这家的有12户，大家都比较齐心协力，非常非常好，大家都比较团结。
5点钟开始，晚上的话到12点或者是到半夜凌晨2、3点钟都有，不确定时间。
小区共有2500余人，在这次疫情中涌现了许多志愿者，大家齐心协力共抗疫情，非常感谢他们的付出。希望我们守望相助，共抗疫情，共度难关。
非常感谢他们的付出。True. They do
I think
put in a lot of.
Pretty accurately describes that. That was looks like they're working really hard. Obviously, their work is extremely important. Without those volunteers, helping to send things around. Obviously, a lot of us in the city, for those of us who aren't here, may not know this, but we're actually technically not meant to go outside of our apartments for any reason except the occasional COVID PCR test. And I also have a little bit of reservations about that particular process as well. But whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so we're not meant to go outside. And so there are a lot of volunteers working in the community doing this, receiving the supplies, divvying it up for each household, sending it up around. My community looks pretty similar to that one in the video, and with a similar amount of people. We are also north of 2,500 people in our community. And so the volunteers are working really hard. And the thing is, I know that for a lot of us who are living here, we get frustrated with the process. Sometimes there may be some things we don't quite understand or some things that we're worried about or whatever. And it's important to remember, or maybe we've seen a video of a volunteer or a worker acting in a way that we might not approve. We saw it on social media, but that's going to be the very, very, very small exception to the rule. Most of these volunteers are just regular members of our community. I know some of our colleagues are doing it as well in their communities, and they're working really hard to just try and make sure that that everyone gets the things that they need. And so even I, a couple of times when I was being called down to do a COVID test, wanted to get snippy and was a little bit irritated, shouting at me at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I wasn't really thrilled, but I made sure not to get an attitude with them, because I know that this is not their fault. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough work. Obviously, they're in that protective gear all day. And as I mentioned before, the temperature here in Shanghai is really ramping up. It's been cooler for the past few days, but we did have a few days around 35, 36 degrees Celsius. So not easy. Now we have an interesting question here. Question here from Normal Ho, who says, how low does daily case count have to be for them to stop the lockdown? I think the answer is 0, and that is going to take. I think if you look at the layered lockdown system we have now, people are locked down for 14 days in their community until they're allowed out without any cases. So I think the answer to that is probably 0, unfortunately. So we're in for the long haul. But thank you for your question. Any more?
Well, I mean, it's 0 in terms of different communities. I mean, I'm not really sure, obviously the lockdown, that when there were cases before this citywide lockdown and this recent surge in cases, we would have sporadic cases here and there. And what they would do is just lock down those particular areas where the cases had happened. And this is when they were in the single and double digits. But now that it's up to 5 digits daily, they just decided to just kind of cut the whole thing off, nip it in the bud, or rather, to use an analogy. But I don't know that we're going to have, I don't know that we'll have a citywide lockdown until it's flat 0. That doesn't seem to be the case.
No, not citywide, no.
Yeah, but I think that anyone who is sick, they're going to lock that down. Any building or community with people that have been sick, they're going to lock that down. So that's sort of where we're at right now.
Right, exactly. Alamex says, 辛苦大家了，大家辛苦了，大家辛苦了. It's very hard work. And we had a comment from Noel Lee, who said there is nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer. Very patriotic comment there. Noel, thank you so much. It's they definitely need to have a strong heart at the moment with all that they're putting up with. And the tensions in the city. Obviously, a lot of those people, the volunteers, which we call dabai, because they wear the white suits, and they take a lot of flack from people. So like Alex said, he felt like getting a bit snippy with them early in the morning when they're yelling at everyone to go downstairs. A lot of people do get a bit angry with them and vent with them. So, I wish them all the best and keep through it. 坚持下去. And we'll get there. Someone asked, is it true that the army is deployed in the city? Now, this was something that we kind of debunked more than a week ago. We didn't debunk it fully because there are some PLA military personnel in the city. But one of the rumors going around was that there were, armed soldiers coming to ensure there was order or do something. I don't know what the rumors were.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, we haven't seen any of that. There are no army trucks and vehicles, patrolling the streets. I haven't seen any soldiers in uniform, not one single time. There may be some medics. I did see that there was a photo from, I think it was last week, at least a week ago, at Hongqiao railway station of a lot of members of the PLA, the army, getting off a train.
Yes.
I think a lot of them had medical gear with them and medic signs. So I think that they were not just regular infantrymen or women, but rather medics coming to assist with the medical side of things. But just speaking from my own experience, I have not seen any armored vehicles, any uniformed military members. No. I mean, there are police out and about, obviously, but I haven't seen anyone in military gear or anything like that. So, I mean, and I haven't seen any reports of that either. I haven't seen any videos, those get spread around on social media of that either. And so I would just have to answer no to that.
Yeah, exactly. And as Robert A just commented, most of the PLA to come into Shanghai were reported as 2,000 medical staff, which is actually true. That is the official word. So yeah, I'm going to play our last video for the day, Alex, which is some, speaking of people coming to help out, a medical team from Zhejiang province, which is nearby to Shanghai, came into the city to help out, which is obviously great news. Yeah, where's that video?
Zhejiang is just the province directly to the south of Shanghai. We've got Jiangsu province to the north and Zhejiang province to the south. Shanghai is a municipality that's just the city unto itself, and so it's not a large province. Zhejiang is just to our south, so it looks like we've got some medical workers that have come up from Zhejiang to help us out. So let's check that out.
Yeah, sorry, live TV, you guys. I'm trying to find it. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I've just got to download it again.
All right.
So yeah, like Alex said, some medical professionals from Zhejiang province have come in to help out, which is great. Obviously, we need help sorting out, especially the COVID testing that needs to be done across the city. So yeah, let's check out that video and we'll come back. Actually, I think I played this video, right, Alex?
This is the bank one.
This is the bank one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
Let me figure it out. This is the problem.
You get it figured out. It's okay. Yeah, this is the problem with doing everything live, but that's okay. It's part of the flavor of what we're doing here. Anyway, so we'll see if we can find that. But yeah, so it's not just these people from Zhejiang. We've had people from all sorts of parts of the country come to Shanghai during the pandemic or during this recent uptick of COVID in the city to try to help out. Obviously, Shanghai is a city that's been known to help out other parts of China when they've been in need, albeit from natural disasters or food shortages or other things that have happened in other less wealthy parts of the country. West. Exactly. And so right now they're coming to return the favor to help us during our time of need. So it's good to see if we can find the video.
Yeah, this is the problem. I've downloaded the video, but it's not showing up in my folder. So I don't want to keep you guys on the line.
Show it tomorrow if we're having trouble finding it today. No worries. We'll be back tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, we will. Let me just try sorting by date. Sorry, you guys. Live TV. This is what happened.
So yeah,
it's not real. It's not showing up. So we'll play that tomorrow. I'll just quickly check. We've got some more messages that have come in. Kevin James Ing says, just be calm and patient with the volunteers. That's a really good point. Obviously, as we said, they're living quite a stressful life at the moment. They're doing a lot of work. But having said that, actually, at least they get to go outside and move around. So in a way, they've got it lucky as well. So yeah, Sylvain says, we are very well informed about what is happening in China. That is awesome to hear. Someone has donated a super sticker. Thank you so much, Alamak from Malaysia. Thank you so much for that. Who the heck is PCC? Somebody says. Obviously, someone is talking about the CPC. A lot of other comments and everything. Thank you guys so much for that. But since that video, I can't find the video now. We will leave you with this lovely view of Pudong.
Okay. We'll leave you with that, and then we'll be back tomorrow with any news updates. Obviously, we'll have the case numbers tomorrow. Any more news updates, any changes in policy, any changes in practice, anything that's going on in the city that happens between now and tomorrow, anything that we learn that will be on Shine, any official word, if there are any rumors out there that need to be debunked or perhaps confirmed, we'll be here to do that. So stick with us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30.
Yeah, look after yourself, you guys. Thank you for all of the comments. Do keep them coming in tomorrow as well, and we will chat with you then with the latest news and updates here from Shanghai, China. See you then. Bye-bye.